Hello again, diecast fans. So today I'm going to add another Lancer Evolution to my collection, and so this is a Pikes Peak variation from Tarmac Works Hobby 64. I took the plastic off already, just figure save time. There's nothing really to see on the packaging. The case, it's not super tight. You know, the car's not going to fall out, but still, it's good practice to always hold these by the bottom so the car doesn't just drop on the floor. Let's take a look at this photo here. So this is from the 2013 Pikes Peak hill climb. And the Pikes Peak, by the way, it's located in Colorado. I live there and I went to an event. It's a really cool racing event. Definitely one of the coolest racing events I've been to. So if you live in the States, it's worth a road trip to go out there and check it out. The track itself is like 12.4 miles or around 20 kilometers, and it has over 156 turns on it. And this is going up a mountain, so there are no guardrails and stuff. A lot of people have died flying off the side of the mountain because they're racing up the thing. I do have to warn you, the Pikes Peak mountain is 14,000 feet, or more than that, or more than 4,300 meters. So if you have lung problems, there's not much oxygen up there. When I went to this event, I was like 30-something. I was in my physical prime. I went to the gym 5 days a week, that kind of thing. And I was winded when I was walking around up there, so just be mindful of that. You can camp out. We went on a camping trip and we camped out the night before the race, but we camped out like halfway up the mountain, so the elevation wasn't really too bad. But you could get drunk off of 2 beers, because the elevation does that to you. So it's worth a look. There's a lot of crazy vehicles racing up that mountain. Not only cars, not only like purpose-built racing cars, but semi-trucks, motorcyclists. Those guys are suicidal, racing up a gravel mountain. Sidecars, all sorts of weird things. So it's worth a look. Okay, anyways, the event itself dates back to 1916 when the first Penrose Trophy was awarded. And so that's all I know about the race itself. A Lancer itself, though, they always have 2-liter turbocharged engines and all-wheel drive. And this particular Evo 10, which I think was available, I forget what years it was available, but it has like 280 to 360 horsepower depending on what country the thing was sold in. So, okay, that's all I found about the stats and stuff. So let's get into the model. I'm not going to take it off the base because I'm afraid that if I drop it, that antenna is going to snap off. So there's a reason why a lot of these models come on these bases, is because they're really not meant to be played with. They're not meant to be rolling around or anything like that. There's a good chance this thing doesn't roll if I took it off the base. It's hard to say. Okay, well anyways, let me get a better light angle and we'll take a look here at this model. So starting from the side. So yeah, you got the graphics there. Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. I think that says 91st event back in 2013, because again, I think this thing first started in the early 1900s. So it's got a lot of graphics, and unfortunately they look like they're decals because you can see the wrinkliness. So that's a problem, because decals tend to dry out and flake off. So if you touch this thing with your fingers, there's a good chance the decal is going to come off with your fingers. So that's another reason why I don't want to touch this model, because the decals might fall off. Boy, these wheels are pretty bad. They're just so thick, these spokes. This is not typical from my experience of Tarmac Works. I don't know if this is one of their early models or what, but those are horrible wheels. Let's take a look at the photo again. See the wheels here on the real car, how thin the spokes are? But, I mean, these are comically large spokes. They're almost like Hot Wheels quality. They're just not something I expect from the Tarmac Works Hobby. Maybe if it was Tarmac Works Global, the ones in the blister packs. But for hobby grade, no man, that's not cool at all. So Tarmac Works, shame on you, man. You're letting me down. You're letting me down. Okay, continue on. Alright, so the door handles, they're sticking out like the real car. That seems pretty realistic. And I think like the top and bottom part actually recesses a little bit, so that's good. The panel gaps aren't so bad, in their width. They're not the thinnest I've seen, though. And then it's compounded by the white paint. It's having a hard time covering up the edges. That's every brand though. White and yellow paint, and it always has a hard time covering up the zinc because it's more translucent than darker colors or metallics. All right, now back to those wheels. We got over the fact that they're horrible, but it looks like there's actually brakes back there, so that's one nice thing about Tarmac Works. There is a disc and there's a rotor, I think, right there on the front. I almost feel like let's see, the rotor is somewhere in the front here, I think. Alright, so it's nice that they have a brake system. Okay, let's go around to the back. A whole lot of sponsorship, looks pretty good. I don't know if it's Tampa, but I would guess it's probably a decal of some sort. Okay, now the exhaust tips look nice. I mean, this outlined in silver. Let's see it. Alright, cool. So there is some depth to the middle, right? So that's realistic, you know, it's a realistic muffler tip. Alright, so the wing itself is pretty thin plastic here. That was pretty good. It's not super thick. The lenses are fine, of course, and it looks like some indication of like bulbs, you know, there's a circle here, a circle there. So that's pretty cool. You know, it is orange here on this side and red in the middle, so that's nice. Alright. This side, any issues? I'm noticing, like, I don't know if there's like a contaminant underneath the decal. These two bumps here, and that looks like maybe hair, so that's not very nice. So that's too bad. Alright, other than that, not much. The mirrors, let's see if I can... Oh, alright, so that's good. So they do have a reflective sticker there. See? Look, you can actually see the reflection of my toothpick. So that's as realistic as it gets. That's one nice thing about Tarmac Works. So we got some black paint here for the window molding. Seems alright. Same with the back. Well, it's actually just painted onto the back glass. And you'll notice the defroster lines on the Tarmac Works. They're pretty good. They're not wide like mini GTs, so you can actually see the interior pretty nice. So that's pretty realistic, I think. The roof though, see this whole red stripe I think is a decal because look how wrinkly it is. Decals look like that. So long term that might crack and fall off. So that's not very good. This antenna is pretty nice, and then the light bar is a nice touch. Although let's see. Nope. I was hoping there'd be some sort of rectangles here, because on the real car, the light bar has segmented rectangles, right? So that's missing. So that's too bad. Alright, front hood. We got Kenwood here. Seems alright. There's some black paint in this vent. That's fine. Yeah, this is good. That's good. But here you can see again the white color is having a hard time trying to cover up the casting. It's like dark there. Alright. The headlights, they seem pretty good. It looks like, you know, the separation of like the light buckets. One half circle, a triangle, and like a rectangular shape here. So that looks pretty realistic. There's like a texture here in the grills, and that seems pretty nice. And this logo, the diamond logo. Try to focus. There we go. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to look at it with the naked eye. I don't know if that's like a decal or a piece of metal. And actually the camera's having a hard time again. So there's that. Hold on here. I almost feel like that's a piece of either foil sticker or a piece of metal. You know, it's not printed. It's too reflective to be paint. So it's pretty nice, whatever it's made out of. Okay, so this texture is interesting. This silver rectangle is supposed to be an intercooler. It's supposed to be an AEM intercooler, although it looks more like AFM. It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, an intercooler does have ribs, so I guess that's kind of realistic. Yeah, I guess it's as good as it can get. Didn't even talk about this. This is like Tampo printed onto the plastic base. I think it would have been nice to say what year. I had to look on the internet, and it says the internet says this car is from 2013. It would just be nice to have that printed there. So yeah, again, the wrinkliness here, this whole red and sponsorship is all a decal. It might be problematic in the future. We get some hazard stripes on the mirrors, but look how high up this one is, whereas this one looks normal. That looks pretty well done. This one totally missed the mark. So that's another problem with decals. You know, they're applied with water, so they tend to slide around a lot, and this one slid up here and then it dried in that position. So that's too bad. Okay. Alright, let's see about the interior. I mean, it's black plastic. You can see some details already. It's just kind of hard to see because they are black. Let me get the flashlight. So yeah, there's like the center console. Oh, even the back of this headrest have like indication of the slots for like seatbelts to go through. So that's pretty cool. What about this side? I'm trying to get a look at that instrument cluster. So that's a lot of good molded in detail. The steering wheel itself, the gauges. Yeah, I like it. But there's no additional color. I don't know what a real Evo 10's dashboard looks like, but I almost feel like those rings there in the instrument cluster could have been painted silver. If it was an Inno 64, there'd probably be like some color in there. Alright, but still, molded in detail is pretty nice. The seat cushions here, they have like a texture to them, you know, not perfectly smooth, so I guess that's supposed to simulate, you know, the leather. Granted, it's artificial leather in modern cars. Alright, so I guess that's alright. It's interesting there's no roll cage. I don't know if the real car has a roll cage though either, so maybe it doesn't have one. Okay, so as I try to focus, boy, my summary of this car is it's got some quality issues. It mainly is because of the decals. That thing's totally off. I'm noticing here the Kenwood is missing the D because it got chipped off, or maybe it's just gone. It's not there. And the main thing is really the wheels. They're just not up to hobby standards by Tarmac Works. They're more like the global 64 quality. So it's a little surprising. I don't know if this is one of their earlier models, because nowadays their models are quite nice. And actually, let's compare it to some other models while we're at it. So let me try to get a better angle, so this is an Evo 10. That would be the last in the line. I believe the Evos stopped after the 10 generation. I don't know if they're being resurrected at some point or what, but what do we have here? I did a review of this somewhere along the line. This is a TLV, Tomico Limited. This is an Evo 5 or Evo 6. I think maybe the nose might be a little different when it's between 5 and 6. This is a pretty bad model here. It's by a company called CMs. They don't even exist anymore. But the wheels are just really bad, I think. They're not even the same white as the graphics on the car. But and also they don't write anything on the bottom, so I have to add a sticker. This is an Evo 7 from 2002, so I guess that would slot in right here. This is a nice model. This is by Inno 64. They do a lot of Evo 3s, and this one is from the 95 New Zealand rally. But look at the wheels on this one. I mean, those are nice looking wheels. There's printing on them, but there's little spoke holes. It's a really nice model. Look at the little fenders. They're how thin they are. But anyway, so an Evo 3 would go over here. And then oddly, the same company here, Tarmac Works Hobby, does an Evo 6 that is so much superior to this one we just reviewed. So again, look at the wheels on this thing. Super nice detail, super tight, some additional printing. The tires have printing on them. It's just a nicer model overall. It's got antennae. Well, I guess the other one does too, but... And it's got seat belts. You know, graphics there. It's a decal of the seatbelt harness. And then this thing has 8 pieces of plastic in the front of it, right? 2 headlights and then 6 pieces of plastic for the auxiliary lights. So that's really, really cool. That's a lot of effort. So this is probably the best Evo, I think, in my collection. This one, possibly the Inno, just as far as the amount of technical work going into them. So, alright, so an Evo 6. Alright, so I guess that's my Evo lineup right there. I guess at some point in time I'll try to get every Evo. So I guess I need an Evo 1 and 2 and an 8 and a 9. I just don't know if anyone makes an Evo 8 or an Evo 9. If you guys know, please let me know, and I guess I'll search them out. But it's happening so far. I got at least half of them, so pretty happy with that. Alright guys, well I guess I'll just say, because this is a Pikes Peak hill climb car, try not to fly off the side of a mountain.